Well, it was chilly, it was overcast, it was wet, it was messy, and Gamecock fans couldn't have asked for a better day at Williams-Brice Stadium here just a little while ago as the Gamecocks knocked off of Vanderbilt 47-6 because the performance truly shined through for South Carolina. The Gamecocks opened the game with fervor, with great physicality, and played that way for 4 quarters. Um, Shane Beamer said in his post game comments it's something they challenged the players on, especially the defense early in the week, and everybody responded. That was a total commitment from the team there. And look, there were doubters after last week's win over Jacksonville State, not South Carolina's best performance, but there was little doubt left today about the way South Carolina performed, and if they can't end this season on a winning streak. Now, the best performance from the defense, no doubt. How about Bam Martin Scott, the linebacker, 13 tackles and a sack? And then we'll go outside in for South Carolina offensively. At the wide receiver position, Xavier Legette, 120 yards receiving on 9 catches. That puts him over 1,000 yards for the season. He joins a pretty elite list. Just 5 South Carolina wide receivers have eclipsed 1,000 yards in a season. The most recent one to do it, Pharaoh Cooper. All of the players on the list went onto a career in the NFL. Xavier Legette will likely do the same. So over 1,000 yards, 1,093 to be exact for Xavier Legette now in the season. How about 102 yards rushing for Mario Anderson on just 9 carries, including a 72-yard touchdown? Just a bowling ball, just a stick of dynamite today for South Carolina. How about the tight end position? Trey Knox, again, not available. Shane Beamer said in his post-game comments they could have played Trey Knox today, but with the field conditions the way they were and the confidence they have in Simon and the other tight ends, other players that can sub in at the H-back and kind of wing-back spot, slot receiver, they felt like they could give Trey Knox some more rest, and they did just that. 6 catches, 65 yards for Josh Simon. So no problem there. A pluses across the board. Amarian Brown made one of the best moves you will ever see from a wide receiver, sticking his foot in the ground, shaking a defender. That turned into a touchdown. So he catches a touchdown today, as did Alex Huntley. Boogie, and Shane Beamer told us in his post-game comments that Boogie Huntley had been hobbled all week, had his ankle rolled up on Tuesday. They didn't know about it. He didn't know about it when he joined us at his press conference. So he said, look, guys, I wasn't hiding anything from you, but I will tell you, Alex Huntley was on a scooter as recently as yesterday. We weren't sure about his availability, but he joked that he thought he wanted to play because he was going to run that route for a touchdown, which he did and caught a 1-yard touchdown early in the game. But Alex Huntley told us when we got to speak with him, he said, look, my teammates put themselves before me, so I'm going to put them before me as well. I put me before themselves, and so I'll put myself after them. All right. Anyway, you get it. It's a team atmosphere right now for South Carolina. They're rallying here in the midst of this 4-game homestand. Offensive line played better. For the first time this season, that offensive line started the same 5 starters for consecutive games. That's the first time that's happened all season. Trey Jones is still out, but the 5 that started last week in the win over Jacksonville State started this week in the victory over Vanderbilt. So now they'll look to make it 3 in a row. When Kentucky comes calling next week, that game will kick at 7:30. Oh, and lest I forget, how about Spencer Rattler, 351 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns. The cold, the rain, the wet ball, slick ball, didn't bother him. He looked good. He looked accurate. He was well protected, and he looked healthy as well as he eluded Vanderbilt's rush throughout the game. So really high marks across the board. Now, special teams, they came up with a block punt for a touchdown. That was Keenan Nelson Jr., and that happened in the 3rd quarter. The game was pretty much decided, but South Carolina, as you know, they love to do things on special teams, and Pete Limbo's unit had truly been ordinary, hadn't been special at all recently, so they got that block punt. It was Keenan Nelson Jr., and he came up with the touchdown as well, recovered his own blocked punt. But there were a couple of missed extra points, so something for South Carolina's coaches to pick on during the meetings. One of those took place on a bad snap, and one was just a misfire there for Mitch Jeter. So South Carolina, the final score, 47-6. It was a runaway. It was 4-quarter domination. It was the best South Carolina had looked, the best South Carolina had played all season long. That includes the Furman victory. So South Carolina, big winners today, statistically across the board, outstanding. The first half ended. Vanderbilt was averaging just 1.8 yards per play, so A plus for the defense. They came up with 2 turnovers in the second half, something they hadn't been doing. A lot of A plus there. Quarterback play, Spencer Rattler did throw 1 interception, but otherwise very good. A to A minus. Mario Anderson, the 72-yard touchdown, ran hard all game long. A plus there. Now, big note here. We want to make sure we stress this. DeCarrion Joyner was out. Shane Beamer did say in his post-game comments that DeCarrion Joyner is likely doubtful for next week. So don't count on DeCarrion Joyner returning to the lineup. And there will be no help from Juju McDowell, who fractured his collarbone in the first half here today. DJ Braswell got some carries in this ball game. They're going to try to bring him along because he may need to contribute to this team now. South Carolina obviously has been riding Mario Anderson, and they'll continue to do so. But just an important note there that Juju McDowell is a veteran presence, somebody who you can count on to catch passes out of the backfield. Fractured collarbone, and he is gone. So, and DeCarrion Joyner likely won't be able to contribute against Kentucky next week either. So South Carolina goes into that ball game a little short-handed in the backfield. But the offensive line play continues to get better, and the wide receiving core deeper and deeper as the season moves on. I mentioned the Marion Brown. Omega Blake caught a touchdown as well. And you have Nick Harbor out there starting to emerge to go along with Xavier Legette, who goes over 1,000 yards receiving, has certainly been Spencer Rattler's favorite target all season in the absence of Juice Wells. So South Carolina receiving core getting better. Tight ends, Trey Knox should return, and you can count on that. But what happens behind Mario Anderson? Mario Anderson comes off the field, needs a blow. What kind of depth does South Carolina have now at that running back position, and what figures to be a physical contest against Kentucky next Saturday here at Williams-Brice? So that's it. Our game recaps presented by the South Carolina Beef Council. This is Matt Smith for Sports Talk at the Stadium. Be sure to track us throughout the week. We'll be talking about previewing that Kentucky game and reviewing this one, which was just all sunshine and rainbows despite the rain for South Carolina today at Williams-Brice in a 47-6 victory over Vanderbilt.